Was it just me, or was the sound for this film just super fucking loud and unbalanced whatsoever? Or maybe I was just unlucky and got the bad theater room.
We're the world now. Heaven is here.
Guys, it's another Cabin in the Woods horror film, but this time it stars Halle Berry and her character's two sons. Now, I'm not saying that this film is 100% garbage. I'm just saying that this movie is just a copy and paste of so many other kinds of horror films. The kind of horror films that try very hard to be artsy and different, and oh my gosh, it makes the audience question whether this is real or not real. But then if you really think about it, if you really fucking think about this movie, it didn't need to do anything like that at all. It's apparently the end of the world, and Halle Berry and her kids must survive in this random cabin in the middle of the fucking woods. There is an evil outside of their home, and the only way for them to survive and forage is by maintaining a rope around their waist or just on them somewhere. This rope is connected to the house, which apparently I guess is blessed, which is what's keeping them alive, which is what's keeping the monster away from them, not letting the monster touch them. So as the story progresses, the monster, creature, alien thing, whatever, tries its very best, tries all sorts of tactics to get them off the rope in order to touch them. But is this monster real, or is it a hallucination of Halle Berry's character? That is the question. And you know what? I couldn't give two shits about whether the monster is real or not real, or if it's an alien. I don't fucking care. The movie tries so fucking hard to deliver these themes and ideas, these questions, and all it does is add more questions upon questions, and it just pisses you off because they're trying so hard to be quote unquote unique. Whoever fucking wrote this script must have been thinking, ambiguity? The more the better. There are never any answers, constantly questions upon questions, and by the end you're left unsatisfied because it is the most stupidest, cliche, bullshit horror movie endings ever. This movie isn't a complete waste of time though. The creepiness factor here is really fucking strong. Like every Cabin in the Woods, it's very eerie, it's very dark. The forest is scary as fuck. I mean, who wouldn't be scared or creeped out by a forest in the dark? There's that scene in the trailer where you see someone climbing up a tree and then you see multiple hands also going up more. I mean, that was fucking horrifying. Besides one or two terribly cheap jump scares, thankfully the rest of this movie doesn't rely on jump scares. It's just unfortunate that the creepy factor is never really supplemented with anything else. It's all the more apparent that this movie just didn't know how to make things more scary, but it didn't want to rely on jump scares, so it just kind of was boring. There are so many moments in this movie that could have been so much better if they didn't just rely on a jump scare, or they didn't just cut away and the monster disappears and wasn't there, even though we saw it behind them, but then turns out it was actually behind the other way. It really frustrates me that this movie just felt like they had no clue how to make something all the more scarier with the buildup of its creepiness. There's no satisfying payoff. It just relies on cheap cliches that we've seen a million times. The production here is fine. It's your typical low-budget horror film shot in the cabin in the woods, isolated from anyone else, so it's a very small cast in order to save money and very minimal effects. It's a horror movie in a cabin in the woods. The monster, alien thing, or whatever can apparently shapeshift and mimic other people, which is its tactic to try to, convince people to get close to it, take off the rope, and then touch it. So throughout this film, you'll see the creature coming up to the house and speaking to Halle Berry. And the reason why the movie begs the question whether Halle Berry is crazy or not is because she's the only one that can see this thing. What really had me worried here were the performances. I mean, Halle Berry is great, she's always good, but it was the kids that had me going from the start. I wasn't too sure how to feel about these child actors, and we all know that sometimes a child performance can really take you out of a movie or keep you invested. And thankfully the kids in this movie were actually pretty solid. By the second and third act, you really got to see their acting chops, which thoroughly impressed me, and I'm pretty sure everyone in my theater. The one thing this movie did that really took me by surprise and really impressed me, it was actually a scene at the end of the second act. I can't really go into too much without spoiling it, but let's just say that something happens to a character that thoroughly surprised me. This movie took a huge risk in its direction, and I always respect that. I always respect it when someone tries something different. And I'm not gonna lie, it was that specific scene that made me give the movie a better chance. Although this movie does drag on for a little too long, especially within the third act, that I was just like looking at my phone, waiting to get the fuck out. And don't worry, I had my phone on extra dim. Yeah, the third act of this movie just fucking sucks. It's almost like the writers just had no clue how to properly end this this story or take the characters, so they just decided to basically copy and paste every single terrible horror movie out there made by Hollywood. Characters who haven't made any dumbass decisions all of a sudden starts making dumbass decisions, but because our main characters have plot armor, they don't die immediately and they have a chance to survive. Things continuously get confusing and weird and just doesn't make any sense. There's a bedroom scene with the brothers that just had me confused as fuck, because I was like, what just happened there? Because the edit was just so horrible that I was just like, wait, what? What just happened? What did I just see? So by the end of this movie, it tries very hard to be an open-ended, mysterious kind of horror film that makes you beg the question, is this the end? Like I said, Never Let Go is one of those movies that tries so hard to be ambiguous. It believes that having all these themes with unanswered questions would make this movie appear more interesting, mystical, and attract more people and make them think about it for the next 10 years, when really, it's the dumbest fucking shit ever. Why did you need to do that? So was Halle Berry crazy or was the monster real? I don't fucking know. It doesn't make any fucking sense by the end because it tries so hard to be open-ended. I couldn't care less about trying to answer the question or the themes presented here because unfortunately this third act really just ruins everything for me. Alright, look, I don't think this movie is a complete waste of time. I just felt that it's not worth a second watch. Never Let Go is a frustrating horror film that has no idea where to take its characters and the direction of its story and plot. Besides some well-developed creepiness and a character decision that blew me by surprise, this movie drowns in its own ambiguity, with an ending that just falls flat and leaves you annoyed. There's a good chance you'll enjoy this film more than I did, because like I said, there are moments of greatness here. It's honestly just great to see Halle Berry back, and I'm excited to see what other projects she's gonna come out with next. Alright, well that's enough of me. I'll catch you guys next time. Ooh-wee.